basically the layout pattern of interconnections of various elements of the computer network. And the four main topologies I focused on were bus, tree, star, and point-to-point topologies. All right, the first one is bus topology. This one, each node is connected to a single cable, so as you can tell, the nodes are the green dots. And the information gets passed through the cable to whichever computer or network is requesting the information. There are two subcategories to this. You have the linear bus. This network topology, in which all of the nodes of the network are connected to a common transmission median, which has two endpoints. The next one is the distributed bus topology. This is a topology in which all the nodes in the network are connected to a common transmission median, which has more endpoints that are made by adding branches to the main section. The next one is tree topology. This is basically a hierarchical topology. It goes from the top to the bottom. The top is the least important, the bottom is the most important. So that's basically that. And then you have star topology. This one, each network host is connected to a central hub. In contrast to the bus topology, the star topology connects each node to the hub with a point-to-point connection. So the information passes through the center to whichever endpoint is requesting the information. And then the next one is point-to-point topology. This is the simplest topology, and it is a permanent link between the two endpoints. There are two subcategories to this. You have permanent topology. This is a point-to-point communication channel that appears to the users to be permanently associated with two endpoints. And then the next one is switch topology. This uses circuit switching technologies. A point-to-point circuit can be set up dynamically and dropped when no longer needed. And I picked point-to-point topology for Eric's business, since it's still small and he's only got one shop. But if he were ever to expand, I would suggest a star topology, since he would be able to keep track of all the information from all of his different branches.
Okay, next we're going to talk about some software, hardware, and databases that we're going to recommend for Eric to implement into Carrollton County Flowers. First, we're going to talk about payroll software. Basically, there's three ways you can manage payroll in an organization. You can do everything by hand. You can outsource the work to a company that will generate reports and prepare your checks for you and send it back. Or you can implement a software that will aid you in the process of your payroll. As you saw, currently everything is done by hand. He prepares the checks himself. He feels that it's better to do it that way because he really doesn't have a large staff, and it's easy to take control of that and basically to write out the reports and keep track of everything. But as he expands, we recommend that he implements Payroll Mate. It's very inexpensive. It's used mainly for smaller businesses. The cost is $99 annually. It actually offers many features such as calculating taxes or printing checks, but it also allows the use of many different payroll types such as hourly or salary and commission and overtime pay. And next we're going to talk about general accounting software. And as you saw in the video and the handout that we passed out, everything is done by hand, like we said. We passed out, if you guys want to look at that, it's a ledger that he does all the basic revenues and expenses on. And the next would be the first one's the invoice, second is the ledger. And basically that's what he uses. And like we said, he stores it in folders in his cabinet and everything like that. So we decided that QuickBooks Pro 2012 would be the best way to organize all of his information. There's many features that it involves, and it might seem expensive for a small company, but the initial cost would be around $183. That's outside of any updates that might be needed annually. That's a one-time cost. And it would help efficiently and effectively manage his inventory, which is a great feature because it has two separate streams of inventory, and QuickBooks allows you to manage separate lines throughout your company. And with the software, we did a cost-benefit analysis comparing, what it cost prior to with the working hours and the rate that it cost compared to what that hourly rate would be cut down, as well as the hours cut down using the software. And we found the difference to be an opportunity cost that he could then spend somewhere else in the organization to improve upon other parts of the company. And next, we had to choose a hardware that was compatible with the software that we recommended. And we felt it was better to use a laptop as opposed to a desktop, because it would save space within his small company, and it would be very easily to transfer that or move that around through the shop. And when you're choosing hardware or a laptop in this case, there's many features you have to analyze, such as the processor, screen size, RAM, hard drive, battery life, and cost. What a processor does, basically you can look at it as a highway. The more lanes that a highway has, the more traffic it can handle at one time. So the larger the processor, the more information can pass through at one time without creating a traffic jam in a sense. For RAM, or random access memory, if you plan on multitasking, which we plan on implementing into his company with the various softwares and Excel and the internet being open, you want to have a somewhat substantial RAM so that you can handle that all at one time. And the hard drive, basically, you want to have a large enough hard drive to store all of your software and all of your programs and everything that you use on your computer. And as you can see here, we compared 3 different hardwares, the Toshiba, HP, and Dell, and on all of those features that we had mentioned. And basically the Dell Vostro was the best option. It had the largest hard drive, RAM, and processor. Although it didn't have as large of a screen size, that's basically up to you, that's discretionary. The screen size, it doesn't have to be that large. And then obviously the cost was the best and had a larger battery life. So ultimately we recommend the Dell Vostro for Eric's company. Next we're going to talk about a customer relationship management database. Basically, it's very useful for an organization to reach out to their customers. It would potentially increase the profitability if you could consistently monitor the relationships and foster those relationships with your customers. The evolutions of the CRM to report basically would identify his customers, and being so small, he's able to, like he said, point out which ones he's going to bill, and the ones he has strong relationships with. And then going into the analyzing, you're going to segment those customers into groups so you can foster their needs. And also projecting, basically he's going to predict their behaviors and try to foster the future, what they can do and what they're willing to do. And the measuring metrics, like we talked about in class, recency, frequency, and monetary value. How recently a customer was in, so you know when they're going to come back. How frequently a customer comes in, so you can foster, you can have the inventory set to when they're going to come in. And how much people spend, so you can target certain customers and make sure that you foster their needs, so that, because if they're going to spend more money on you, then you want to have everything readily available to them. And then the final database that we're going to recommend is supply chain management database. Basically, with any supply chain, it's better to be efficient, reach out, because you can control the costs by potentially eliminating any sort of inventory or wasting inventory that you don't need. And that's done by communicating throughout the supply chain. If you talk to your suppliers or your growers and they're only growing the right amount for you, then it works better that way. And use upstream and downstream flows, like I said, from customer down, or from the suppliers and everything. So basically to have a clear sense of that, it's very useful, and we're going to recommend a central database where every member of the supply chain can go to that, as opposed to currently they're talking via the telephone, and everybody doesn't talk amongst each other. They talk independently, one by one. And next we're going to show you the basic supply chain of Eric's company right now. As you can see, the customer could be the buyer, and they could pass it on to a recipient, or they could keep it themselves, which would make them just end the supply chain right there and go back with information.
Alright, so once Eric gets a computer installed, he's obviously going to need a new website with the internet connection. This will help reduce business expenses, improve operations, and generate new business. It also helps in building customer relationships and attracting new customers as well to the shop. Now the website that the company had was pretty basic. Customers could find out where they were located and could email the website, or could email the company. The website they should have is a data-driven website. This could be constantly updated with any new flowers that they got in, any new antiques, or the permanent file furniture. They can also have recommendations for special occasions like birthdays, anniversaries, or weddings. And they can also implement an online ordering service with the data-driven website. The customers can view the products that are in stock, and they can pay online. And this ordering service will also help the flower delivery service that they currently have. And this is mostly useful for funerals or weddings, since the organizers of these events are pretty busy. And a data-driven website, it can also help the private communication between the customers and the company. And then the company should also introduce the intranet, or intranet. This is a computer network that allows information to be securely shared within an organization. This will allow access to company information, all the financial information, as well as customer information as well. And that information can be used as a marketing tool. They can send out emails, they can make phone calls, and they can also send out coupons to existing customers just to remind them of the business. They can also use that information to find out what demographics to market to, and they can emphasize this on their website as well. So this is a graph showing the small businesses with websites, how it's increasing year to year. So in 2007 it was about 33%, in 2009 it was about 44, 45%, and just last year, or this year, it was at 55%, so it's growing every year, so it's pretty important to have a website. So security systems, there's obviously none in place. It's important to protect the company information as well as the customer information on the website. To do this, you should use secure socket layers. They provide security in online communications and transactions through the website. And the way this works is that once the customer makes a transaction, the data gets scrambled, and then when it gets sent to the website, then it gets unscrambled, and when it gets sent to the company's software can unscramble the data. And we picked 3 security systems that he should look at. The first one will be the Cisco ASA 5500 series. This is customizable, flexible, it has advanced security, but it's high-end, and it's also expensive. It costs anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000, so it's pretty expensive. The next one will be the semantic endpoint protection for small businesses, and this one's pretty cheap. It costs about $50 a year. It has antivirus, firewall protection, email protection, website protection. It's also fast and simple to use, and they also offer a backup software in case data is lost in the event of a virus or an attack. The next one would be the McAfee Total Protection. This is pretty similar to the semantic one. It costs $50 a year. It has similar features like antivirus, host intrusion prevention, web and email prevention. So the recommendations, I pretty much already talked about some of the stuff. So they should have a data-driven website installed. Should have the intranet in there. For hardware versus software firewall, so a hardware firewall is basically a firewall that protects a network of computers, usually at least like 4 to 5, at least. And that is the Cisco one. So that one we would be least likely to recommend for a shop because he's only going to have 1, maybe 2 at the most computers in the shop. So it comes down to the software firewalls, which are individual firewalls that are installed on each individual computer. And those would be the semantic and the Cisco ones. And overall, they're pretty similar, but we would recommend the semantic one because it offers a few more features. It offers sonar protection, which takes closer looks at traffic and sees if they're malicious at all. It also offers graphical and multidimensional analysis of the computer system. But the big thing is that it offers a recovery tool, and that is a self-booting disk or USB drive that will boot the computer into a virus-free state. So if the computer did somehow get hacked or there's a virus in there and the computer was completely unusable, then the recovery tool would be pretty important, and that's why we recommend the semantic.
Okay, decision support systems. They're meant to give companies suggestions to try and maximize their profit or lower the costs. And since Carrollton Country Flowers has no computer system as it is, we're going to try and implement something small such as Microsoft Office, particularly Access and Excel. Like we did in class, there's the what-if analysis and the goal-seek analysis they can use with it. They can also use the database through Access to put in customer accounts, vendors, and their product lines per season. There are different support system software that they sell, but online it's one of those things where you have to call to find out different prices. For centralized and decentralized systems, centralized is more of the top tier management. They're usually smaller companies. They have all the authority and make all of the decisions. So smaller companies like mom and pop shops like Eric's are usually the ones that have centralized systems, compared to decentralized, where authority and business decisions are spread out to regional managers, is usually big corporations like a GM, where not one tier of management can watch the whole company. And my suggestion is that Carrollton Country Flowers stay centralized, because there are 2 owners of it and they have maybe 2 or 3 part-time employees, and there's no reason to spread the power.
This time, we'd like to give a special thanks to Eric Miller for his cooperation and dedication to our project. We'd like to field any questions that you guys may have.
Anything to happen?